Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. We're already here, ready to go. So I think we can get into our news when we're ready. Friday. And,
all right.
No, it's everyone's day off. Not really. In your mind, it's your day off because it's Friday and the next day is the weekend. Unless you're forced to work on the weekend, then it's not your day off.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's got something. Everybody's got something different. So it's free for all Friday, I guess. We'll just grab stories as they come up.
Free for all Friday. All right. Well, then I'll start with my first one, which will be. Italy. U.S.-born princess evicted from Rome villa after inheritance dispute.
Hey, one American dead in Sudan as U.S. readies troops for potential embassy evacuation, and there's been a 72-hour ceasefire in Sudan.
Destruction after Russia accidentally bombs own city near Ukraine. Okay, that's a weird military tactic.
Yeah. Microsoft agrees to buy $50 million Foxconn parcel in Wisconsin.
Weather tracker. Heat in Spain could smash April temperature record.
So we're going to have that and more interesting news we find later on Friday, April 21st, 2023 edition of Before Coffee.
All right. My first story is about Italy. I think it's actually a video, which sucks because then I can't read it. But maybe what I can do is I can read the caption because they always put captions on the video.
No, don't do that.
Princess was evicted from a villa in Rome that contains the only ceiling fresco ever painted by Caravaggio. Said she was sorry to experience such a brutal end to what has been a labor of love. Princess Rita Genrette Boncompagni Ludovici, née Rita Carpenter, abandoned the Villa Aurora off the swanky Via Veneto hours after the Carabinieri police arrived to enforce a court-mandated eviction order. After her husband, Prince Niccolò Boncompagni Ludovici, died in 2018, the villa became the subject of an inheritance dispute, with his children arguing that the house belongs to them. I found the original. Okay, they did a actual.
Right.
Clutching her dog, Boncompagni Ludovici, 73, told reporters, "What did I do to deserve this? Mystery to me. Why are they so intent on getting me out of here?" Her Ukrainian housekeeper, along with the housekeeper's daughter and 2 children who fled Kyiv at the start of Russia's invasion, had also left the property. Ludovici's eviction marks a turning point in the saga that began as a fairy tale love story in 2003 when she met Niccolò, descendant of an Italian noble family who used the title of prince. The Italian monarchy was abolished in the late 1940s. Villa, which is hidden by a high walls close to the plush Via Veneto in central Rome, has been mostly abandoned and off the radar to the public until 2010, when it opened after a restoration project inspired by Boncompagni Ludovici, a former New York property broker. Until Niccolò's death in 2018, Villa hosted students of history in a small private tour group. Ludovici put together a digital archive of 150,000 documents that shed even more light on the history contained within the home, including letters by Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI. In his will, Niccolò gave his wife the right to stay on the property for the rest of her life, and if sold, the proceeds were to be split between her and his sons. However, the sons disputed this, prompting a legal wrangle. "We want that money now! Sell the property! And get the fuck out and go live on the street! Because you're not a real mom." I don't know. They're her real... She's his real... Yeah. They're her real mom. Sounds like there's obviously a dispute. Both sides eventually agreed to put the home up for sale, but the property had failed to attract a single bidder. At 5 auctions since January 2022, despite the price being slashed from $471 million to $154. In January, a judge in Rome ordered Ludovisi's eviction from the property, where Caravaggio's Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto fresco were painted on the ceiling of a small room tucked away on the first floor. After ruling that she had not been properly maintaining the village after the collapse of the wall led to a closure of an adjacent street, she was also accused of organizing unauthorized tours. Bonte Boncombini Ludovici, the youngest of the 3 sons, waited outside the villa on Thursday morning to watch it being liberated from that woman. Princess is not her title, he yelled. Wow, okay. This is taking your baggage and putting it straight on the street. What are we in, a freaking drama? 2 years ago, he already donated the villa to his 2 brothers, so because of that, his will does not really exist. Just because she's American, it doesn't mean she can do what she wants. She has to respect our country and its laws. It's the classic entitled American approach of visiting, I guess. I don't know. That's what they see. Maybe she didn't mean to come off that way, but her American demeanor comes off that way.
The same reason they hate, what's her name? Meghan Markle.
American?
Well, it's not the same people hate her, but yeah. Well, she's American. How dare she be American? How dare she be born in a living place or something? You tell me. I don't know.
Ludovici, who was previously married to the former U.S. Congressman John Jenrette, said would be hosted by a friend in Civitavecchia before working out where to go next while waiting for the conclusion of the legal dispute. Said a friend had arranged for her furniture to be removed from the villa, including artwork from New York and 2 chandeliers. "Surreal. I haven't slept for 72 hours straight," she said, adding the saga has caused her health problems. "What they're doing is illegal. I have the right of use. Now it's going through the court system, which will take forever. Not in time to save me." Well, I mean, it sounds like she comes from a well-off place and she's gonna be okay. Your story. Just completely
okay. One American dead in Sudan as U.S. readies for troops or potential embassy evacuation. This is from CBS News. And also I got a little other story from Al Jazeera related. An American citizen has died in Sudan amid intense fighting between 2 rival generals, the State Department said Wednesday, as U.S. repositions troops in the region ahead of potential evacuation of the U.S. Embassy in Khartoum. "We can confirm the death of a U.S. citizen in Sudan," the State Department spokesman said. "We are in touch with the family and offer our deepest condolences to them and their loss." The State Department declined to offer further details on the death, citing respect for the person's family. Despite a ceasefire meant to bring an end to the bloodshed, hundreds of people have been killed in Sudan as fighting continues between forces controlled by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who leads the Sudanese armed forces, and General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, who is in charge of the Rapid Support Forces military group. A marked U.S. diplomatic convoy came under fire earlier this week when no one was injured. The Pentagon is moving forward to pre-position some military forces and capabilities nearby just for contingency purposes in case they would be needed for any kind of evacuation. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby confirmed Thursday during a White House press briefing. And according to Al Jazeera, 72-hour ceasefire amid Khartoum fighting. This is Sudan's military group, Rapid Support Forces, has announced it will shortly begin a ceasefire despite continued heavy fighting in the army capital of Khartoum. RSF said in a statement that would observe a 72-hour ceasefire, which will come into effect at 4 a.m. Greenwich Mountain Time on Friday. Greenwich Mean Time, like Greenwich Mountain Time. I don't think there's like a mountains in Greenwich, which marks the beginning of Muslim holiday Eid al-Fitr. The armistice coincides with Eid al-Fitr to open humanitarian corridors to evacuate citizens and give them opportunity to greet their families. Khartoum was rocked by heavy shelling and in the early hours Friday, with RSF accusing the army of staging a sweeping attack on the capital. An Al Jazeera correspondent north of the city reported an exchange of fire between RSF and the army a few minutes before the paramilitary truce was supposed to start. There was no word from the army whether it was observed the ceasefire. So it's an unofficial, official, so we'll see if it holds ceasefire, which ain't really a ceasefire at all.
Yeah.
Your story.
Could you maybe stop firing stuff? Maybe, but...
Well, think about it. We're going to hold the ceasefire so people can go be with their families and gather food and shit. No, forget it. We're not going to do that. Okay. I don't know.
It's been canceled.
It's been called off because of stupid.
All right. In Russian news, a Russian plane accidentally strikes a Russian city near Ukraine border, leaving a 20-meter crater. Accidental discharge of aviation ammunition from jet responsible for the huge blast in Belgorod. A Russian warplane accidentally fired a weapon to the city of Belgorod near Ukraine on Thursday evening, causing an explosion and damaging buildings, the Russian Defense Ministry said. Late on Tuesday, local authorities reported a large blast in the city. It lies just across the border from Ukraine. Regional Governor Yaslav Gladkov said 3 people had been injured. As a Sukhoi Su-34 Air Force plane was flying over the city of Belgorod, there was an accidental discharge of aviation ammunition, the defense minister said, according to Russian state-owned agency TASS. Gladkov, announcing a state of emergency, said on Telegram that there was a crater measuring 20 meters or 65 feet across on one of the main streets. 4 cars and 4 blocks of flats were damaged, he said. Thank God there are no dead. Yet. Okay, he didn't say that. Gladkov said in a statement in Telegram. The defense ministry did not say what kind of weapon was involved. Su-34 is a supersonic fighter bomber jet. House reported that the ministry had announced an investigation and an investigation was underway. Video footage of the area posted on social media on Friday appeared to show a powerful explosion near a busy street at night. Other footage showed piles of concrete on the street, several damaged cars, and buildings with broken windows. One image showed what appeared to be a car upside down on the roof of a store. Wow, that's impressive. It got blasted all the way on top of a roof. Belgorod region is one of several parts of southern Russia where targets such as fuel and ammunition stores have been rocked by explosions since the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russian jets frequently fly over the city on their way to Ukraine. Thursday's explosion once again highlights the strain of the 14-month-old war on the Russian military machine. Last October, a Russian military jet crashed into a residential building shortly after taking off near the border with Ukraine, causing a major fire that killed 15 people. In total, at least 10 Russian military jets have crashed after malfunctioning since Moscow launched its invasion in February, according to the Bell, a Russian media outlet. Well, that's not good. Probably shouldn't be launching jets into buildings.
Russia's like the gang that can't shoot straight.
Yeah.
All this weaponry and all they do is fail. Oh, is it over?
Yep.
All right then. Okay. In business
over.
news. Does anybody remember when Donald Trump had all the hullabaloo about opening a Foxconn, which company that makes cell phones and stuff, in Wisconsin? Well, Microsoft agrees to buy the 50 million Foxconn parcel in Wisconsin, which is a total boondoggle. Microsoft. This is Madison, Wisconsin from AP. Todd Richmond. I can't say Todd. It's hard to say it for some reason. It's such an easy word. Microsoft has agreed to buy 500 million parcel of land in southeastern Wisconsin, meant for Foxconn, after the world's largest electronic manufacturer failed to fulfill grandiose promises to build a massive facility that would employ thousands of workers. Microsoft plans to build a $1 billion data center and a 350-acre parcel in Mount Pleasant. Hey, that sounds like Point Pleasant, doesn't it? It's the village in the 70s show. But it's Mount Pleasant, not Point Pleasant. A village of about 2,700 people in Racine County, about 30 miles south of Milwaukee. It is unclear how many people the center might employ. Paul Ingalls, Microsoft Director of Global Community Research and Engagement, told the Racine County Board of Supervisors on Tuesday that such centers typically employ 300 to 400 people. The village is already home to Foxconn Technology Group manufacturing facility. The Taiwan-based company is best known for making Apple iPhones. The company announced plans in 2017 to build a $10 billion facility in Mount Pleasant that would employ 13,000 people. I'll say it's gone from 10 million to 1 billion. They sold it for. That's interesting. Wisconsin's governor at the time, Republican Scott Walker, and then President Donald what's-his-ass, praised the decision, with Trump boasting that the plant would be the 8th wonder of the world. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. The state agreed to provide Foxconn with nearly $3 billion in tax breaks. The company never delivered on its promises, and Democratic Governor Tony Evers scaled back the tax break to $80 million, continued on the number of jobs created and investments. This is some quick math. 80 goes into 3,000 how many times? Because that's the scale down. 80 from 3,000. Because 3 billion is basically 3,000 million, right?
Yeah.
And 80 million is a lot less than that.
Yeah.
I mean, 80 billion is 10% of 800 million, and 800 million is like a fourth of that. So 10% of a fourth. It's 2.5%. But roughly of what the original tax breaks were. The company qualified for just 8.6 million of these tax credits, so you got 10% of those. After creating 768 eligible jobs and making $777 million capital investment by the end of 2021, so for 13,000 jobs, 768. According to a fact sheet, 8th wonder of the world. According to the fact sheet, don't forget, it's 8th wonder of the world.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's how you just say stuff and it becomes true instead of, social consensus or
Yeah, the wonder is how politicians keep getting away with this crap. Okay, so Foxconn spent $60 million to help Mount Pleasant officials try to buy the property. Let's try it again. Foxconn spent $60 million to help Mount Pleasant officials buy the property to create the district, said Mia Trippier, spokesman for Village in Racine County. Foxconn will receive the proceeds from the land sale to Microsoft as partial reimbursement of what Foxconn spent on acquiring land for the district in 2017, according to the fact sheet. Microsoft will be eligible to recoup 42% of the property taxes paid on the new construction, up to $5 million annually. Microsoft must begin the first phase of construction by July 2026 and begin the second phase by 2023. So they've got 10 years basically to even start the second phase. The tech sector has been contracting the tech sector has been contracting, not contracting. The tech sector, they should use their words. The tech sector has been contracting after pandemic era expansions. Nobody that writes these sentences ever has to read them.
Yeah.
In demand for workplace software. Microsoft, based in Redmond, Washington, hasn't been immune to the trend, announcing in January the plan to cut 10,000 workers and consolidate leased office locations. Company officials said that their layoffs amount to less than 5% of the total employee base. So, but again, they're just getting a bargain on this land, is what they're getting. So I wouldn't blame them for that. You're sorry.
Hey, hoping to see a 9th world wonder coming in the near future.
There may be 14 or 15 by now. He was president for another 4 years, remember?
Yeah, right.
So,
And why not?
Everything he cut the ribbon on. This shopping mall is the 13th wonder of the world. Okay, whatever. Go ahead.
All right. And you usually talk a lot about American weather, so I'm going to talk about European weather. And specifically how the track in Spain is going to be much, much higher as we get into the summer. Forecasts suggest highs of 35 to 38 Celsius, or even 39 Celsius, which is about, 102, 104. something around that.
Hot.
This is a high fever of heat, okay? If you are this hot in Celsius, you have to go to the hospital, okay?
If there's humidity.
Easing surpassing the peak of 37.4 Celsius set in 2011. For much of Europe, April so far has been rather cold and reasonably wet in places. However, Spain has remained very dry and very warm, retaining the subtropical air that has led to forest fires and widespread drought. Plumes of heat from the tropics are expected to continue to affect the country throughout the coming days, threatening April's maximum temperature record. The highest temperature ever recorded in Spain for the month is 37.4 or 99.3 Fahrenheit in Murcia on April 9th, 2011. Forecasts suggest that on April 26th, temperatures will widely reach 35 to 38, and the Seville may even hit the maximum of 39. For comparison, the April high in Seville stands at 35.4 C. It is possible that the records for this month will not only be broken next week, but smashed. Intense storms developed across parts of central U.S. on Wednesday with numerous, we talked about this, talking about Oklahoma City and their hot tornadoes flattening buildings, and the Fujiwara effect. This winter snow across the northern plains has lingered until mid-April. Many places recording above average snowfall, but recent warmth has allowed the state of significant snowmelt. Why suddenly are we talking about United States weather? This article totally gaslit me, dude. It was like, Spain is hot, but also let's talk about the U.S. for two longer paragraphs.
About global warming. We live on the same place.
I know. I just thought they would go more into, Europe and maybe talk about Italy or
we share a planet. There's no invisible
somewhere else around the Mediterranean, Anything else?
No,
let's talk about Oklahoma, which has nothing to do with the Mediterranean.
It's still the same planet.
No, but it's not the same region, so
is it called global warming or is it called Italy warming?
I was looking for regional
I'm joking,
news,
man.
not random Oklahoma news. That's my fault for not looking at the looking at the tag, which the tag says Oklahoma and tornadoes, as well as
Well, I want to know more. Because I'm totally egocentric here.
You want to know more? Okay. The Fujiwara effect is when two hurricanes are close enough to spin around a common center, eventually emerging into one storm system. A weather station in Shawnee in Oklahoma recorded a gust of 84 miles per hour, or 135 kilometers an hour, due east of Cole. The storms across the plains also brought large hailstones, with tennis ball size hail reported on the I-29, due north of Kansas City. This winter, snow across the northern plain has lingered until mid-April, with many places recording above average snowfall, but the recent warmth has allowed for the state of significant snowmelt. Rapid melting over the past week has resulted in significant rise in the amount of water draining into the Mississippi and Missouri rivers, with flood warnings across Dakotas and Minnesota. The worst of the flooding has been experienced along the Red River in eastern North Dakota and western Minnesota. However, over the coming days, the temperature is expected to return to below normal, allowing for a break in the rapid melting. I do know my cousin, Dora, was complaining that it's still snowing in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
She was like, where's the sun? Come on, I want to go outside. But the snow's still there.
80. One day it's 80, next day it's snowing.
Yeah. But that's climate change specifically. It's not global warming in the sense of everywhere is getting hot, but everything is being off center.
Well, there's a story about Siberia. Can you find that?
Siberia?
Yeah, that's global as hell. I mean, that's the biggest frozen tundra in the world, right? And it's unfreezing. But yeah, that's a story you can find about it. You want me to do my story since I'm on both cameras now?
Siberia.
I can cover the story. I can cover the story you touched on yesterday about a mysterious object flying in the sky over Ukraine. Do you want to continue on that one?
Yeah, tell me about this supposedly.
Remember yesterday, only yesterday, you were talking about there was some mysterious flash in the sky. Well, here we go. This may be it. I'm just
Finally
making this
revealed that
connection
they're probably going
myself.
to blame something.
I'm not a scientist, but I'm going to go ahead and blame this. Old NASA satellite plunges to Earth over Sahara Desert. And this happened yesterday. An old NASA satellite that studied the sun for more than a decade fell to Earth over Sahara Desert, the space agency reported Thursday. Now, was it the same thing they saw in Ukraine? I don't know. It's not in the story. NASA officials said they have received no reports of damage or injury so far from the re-entry, which occurred in the wee hours of the morning in Sudan. Coincidentally, we're throwing satellites at Sudan. Most of the 660-pound, 300-kilogram satellite, called Heiress, was expected to burn up while plummeting through the atmosphere, but experts anticipated some pieces would survive and slam into the ground. Slam into the ground. Wow, that sounds violent. Launched in 2002, Heiress was turned off in 2018 following a communications problem. Before falling silent, it studied solar flares and coronal mass ejections from the sun. Heiress stands for the Reuven Ramati High Energy Solar Spectroscopic Imager.
Ooh.
Right on. That was a short story, and we are combining it with Elon Musk blowing up a rocket. SpaceX giant rocket explodes minutes after launch from Texas.
Well, I don't think he personally exploded it.
No, his company did. They did it on purpose because it was not going to make it. SpaceX giant new rocket exploded minutes after blasting off on its first test flight Thursday and crashed into the Gulf of Mexico. We're just launching and crashing. Elon Musk company was aiming to send the biggest and most powerful rocket ever built on top of the world, ever built on a round-the-world trip from the southern tip of Texas near the Mexican border. The nearly 400-foot Starship carried no people or satellites. The SpaceX later said multiple engines and a 33-engine booster were not firing as a rocket ascended. 33 inches might be a problem, guys. Maybe a few fewer engines. The rocket was intentionally destroyed by its self-destruct system, exploding and plummeting into the water. I should do, Walter Cronkite was big on space news. He would always do the space news for CBS. He didn't want anybody else to do it. Instead of the best-case scenario, a 1.5-hour flight with a spacecraft on top peeling away and taking a lap around the world, the whole thing lasted 4 minutes. The rocket reached a maximum speed of 1,300 miles per hour and has got as high as 24 miles before going sideways and dropping. A throng of spectators watched from South Padre Island, several miles away from the Boca Beach launch site, which was off limits. As Starship lifted off, with a thunderous roar, the crowd screamed, "Go, baby, go!" Musk, in a tweet, called it an exciting test launch of a Starship. Learned a lot for next test launch in a few months. SpaceX turned it a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. In weeks, we called it, wow, it blew up. It really blew up. In the weeks, blew up real good. In the weeks leading up to the flight, Musk gave 50-50 odds that the spacecraft will reach orbit, and I hope you took the odds that were no, it won't, because you would have won. He stressed that clearing the launch tower and not blowing up the pad would be a win. Okay, so that's it. We're just sending this big thing up. We pretty much sure it's not going to make it, but whatever. 50-50 was probably reaching. It was probably 20-80. At liftoff, the rocket kicked up huge plumes of sand and dust around the pad. In Port Isabel, about 10 miles away, particles covered cars and other surfaces. The other report, said John Sandoval, assistant city manager, was it shattered a window at a local business. Yes, it shook, rattled, and rolled, he said of the rocket, and 47 people went deaf. But we don't care! I'm just making up the 47 people going deaf. Federal Aviation Administration would not oversee the accident investigation, noting that no injuries or public property damage was reported. The agency said until it determines that there is no threat to public safety, starships are grounded. So they're grounding all starships. And I'm not sure how that affects anyone, but don't take your Starship out today, folks. SpaceX intends to use Starship to send people and cargo to the moon and eventually Mars. NASA has reserved Starship for its next moonwalking team, and rich tourists are already booking lunar flybys. All right, rich tourists, you go fly by the moon. Enjoy yourself. Your story.
All right, in culture, we will be covering the funeral of Paul O'Grady, a famous British broadcaster and also drag queen. Dogs and mourners line the streets to say goodbye to Paul O'Grady. Lily Savage's wig, dog-shaped wreath, and music from Annie feature at the funeral of the entertainer who died last month. Hundreds of people turned out to say farewell to Paul O'Grady on Thursday, including a member of the Rolling Stones. But had the late entertainer been able to attend his own funeral, he may have ignored Ronnie Wood and gone straight to the Labradoodle, sitting solemnly in a buggy as the cortege went past. He was one of the dozens of pups lining his local streets to pay tribute to the biggest dog lover in show business. The funeral took place in Aldington, the Kent village where O'Grady had lived more than 20 years. In his hometown of Birkenhead, fans gathered to celebrate his life in their own way, singing along to Who Let the Dogs Out in the spring sunshine. Paul, was their answer. A suspicious pug surveyed the scene from the basket of a mobility scooter while a woman waltzed by with her cockapoo. Back in Kent, O'Grady's husband, Andre Portasio, arrived at St. Rumwold's Church. St. Rumwold's, sorry, not Rumworld. I was like, what? Rumworld.
Amusement park there, I'm going to. Rumworld, yeah.
Rumwold's Church in the horse-drawn carriage with Conchita, one of their dogs, on his lap. Dog-shaped wreath guarded the coffin, a tribute to Buster, a regular O'Grady's TV show in the noughties, who died from cancer in 2009. Sharon Mosley, O'Grady's daughter, entered the church with a young man holding the wig of Lily Savage, O'Grady's drag alter ego. Lilies were everywhere on the coffin and arranged around photographs of a smiling O'Grady positioned in front of the Grade 1 listed church. A trio of puppies from Battersea Dogs and Cats Home greeted families and friends. The celebrity chef Andy Oliver, Coronation Street star Sally Lindsay, stopping to pet the dogs on their way in. Among the puppies was Ernie, who had met O'Grady several times during the filming for The Love of Dogs, his ITV show about animal shelters. Ernie met Paul 2 years ago when he was about 5 weeks old. He's met him several times. Felt he should come along today, said Allie Taylor, head of canine behavior in Battersea. Up the road in Aldington, the local Women's Institute, WI, had put on a tea and cakes, of all the proceeds from which will go to Battersea. Wanted to honor Paul because he was very much part of our village. He was lovely, an absolutely lovely man, said Chair Janine Taylor. The service, for which a bronze statue of O'Grady, beloved Buster, had been placed on a top of a leopard print throw, featured a series of personal tributes to the broadcaster. The comedian Julian Clary delivered the eulogy at the private service, described afterwards by Reverend Canon Roger Martin as very entertaining. Salvation Army Band played songs including Tomorrow from the musical Annie, in which O'Grady had been starring in a touring production of at the time of his death. Salvation Army Captain Joe Moore, who mentored O'Grady when he trained as a Salvation Army volunteer for a 2016 TV documentary, paid tribute outside the church. He said, Paul had a long association with the Salvation Army back when he was a kid in Birkenhead. He worked with us when he was a social worker. Forgot he was a social worker before he was a performer. And then in the 1980s, during the HIV and AIDS pandemic, he came across us reaching out to the young men, many of whom were dying alone. He never forgot that the Salvation Army. He never forgot that about the Salvation Army, and he's been a supporter ever since. O'Grady's coffin was placed next to the grave of his former partner, Brendan Murphy, who died in 2005. Mourners then head to a wake at Port Lympne Safari Park in Kent. O'Grady died last month from a sudden cardiac arrhythmia. He was only 67. Gone too soon. Another dog lover carried away from the world. And drag
immense sadness. Well, and what is it today and what happened today? Today is National Kindergarten Day. in the United States. Also, National
kindergartens.
National Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet Day. So let's day after 420, let's just start seeing what's in our medicine cabinet. See if we can take that, huh? Hey, what is this? What's this do? National Rendering Day. Now, rendering is when you turn fat into something else, basically. You cook it until it becomes something else. And I'm not sure why we made a national day for that, but it's got a picture of a cow and a pig and a chicken, and they're being recycled into biofuel. So there we go. National... We're going to be burning cows for energy, boys. National Chocolate Covered Cashews Day. I'm all in for that one. It's National Yellow Bat Day. It has nothing to do with Batman. I found it was a Special Forces unit. I had to look this up. Not a Special Forces unit. The 256th Army Security Agency Company in Fort Campbell Company, which is 101st Airborne. Okay, it's their day because they have a symbol that's a yellow bat. It's like a little patch they wear. It looks like a Batman bat, but it's yellow. The bat isn't yellow. The patch is. Bats are black. They can't help it. That's the color they come in. All right, and this day in history. With the death of Henry VII, his eldest surviving son assumed the British throne as Henry VIII. We know him because he had 7 wives, and there's a song about it. I'm Henry VIII, I am. Henry VIII, I am. Go ahead, sing along with me.
I'm Henry VIII, I am.
I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before. And everyone was a Henry. She wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam I am a eighth old man, I'm Henry. It was a hit by Herman's Hermits, believe it or not. It was a hit song.
I can believe it. It sounds like a good drinking song, too.
Very catchy, man. I remember after all these years. I don't even have to look it up, right? I'm a eighth old man, I am Henry. Henry VIII, I am. Henry VIII, I am. Second verse, same as the first. So you just keep going. And yeah, drinking song. Somebody else takes the verse, maybe they add their own words. Okay, Babur, the ruler of Kabul, led in 1520. Oh, Henry VIII, 1509. I didn't give you the date, did I?
You just
1520.
Distracted.
In 1526, Babur, the leader of Kabul, led Mughal forces to victory against Sultan Ibrahim Lodi, establishing the Mughal dynasty in India in 1526. Stuck in Lodi again, that's the CCR song came from. 1782, Frederick Froebel, German educational reformer and founder of kindergarten, was born. That's why today's National Kindergarten Day. Thank you.
Yay!
He was born in, Oberweisbach, Thuringia. Is there a country called Thuringia anymore? Well, in 1782, there was a Thuringia. Sounds like a kitchen utensil. Can you hand me the Thuringia? I gotta clean some stuff I gotta feed people some spaghetti. I need that Thuringia. In 1789, John Adams was sworn in as the first vice president of the United States 9 days before George Washington's presidential inauguration. So he had a vice president before he had a president. Interesting. In 1800, French forces under General Jean-Baptiste Kleber recaptured Cairo and initiated a brief French occupation of Egypt. We don't know what to do. We occupied Egypt. James Starley in 1830, an inventor and the father of the bicycle industry, was born in Alborn, Sussex Inland. So James Starley, the father of the bicycle industry, is born in this date, 1830. In 1836, General Sam Houston led 800 Texans to victory over a Mexican army of 1,500 General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna in the Battle of San Jacinto, ensuring the Texans' independence from Mexico. In 1836, American naturalist and writer John Muir was born in Scotland. He was largely responsible for the establishment of Sequoia National Park and Yosemite National Park. Manfred in 1918, the Red Baron, Manfred Fair Baron von Richthofen, Germany's top flying ace in World War I, was shot down and killed during the battle near Amiens, France. Not so hot that day, was he? Daily Mail, 1934. The Daily Mail printed the photograph. Well, I grew up on Snoopy fighting the Red Baron, so that's me. Go Snoopy! We hate the Red Baron. Daily Mail printed a large in 1934. The Daily Mail printed the first photograph of the so-called Loch Ness Monster, which could have been just about anything. In 1966, the Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie arrived in Jamaica for a visit. Now, Haile Selassie is believed to be the second coming of Christ by Rastas and is the foundation of Rastafarianism. Everybody's 420 holiday. Annie, 1977. We talked about Annie and the drag actor that played in Annie. Well, Annie, a popular musical based on the newspaper comic strip Little Orphan Annie, first opened on Broadway on this day in 1977.
Maybe that's why they had the funeral today.
Maybe, and it's also National Kindergarten Day, so there you go.
And also because it's National Kindergarten Day, let's
it
have a
nothing
funeral.
to do with it, but it has to do with the guy being born there. In 1986, a My Site television special, American journalist Geraldo Rivera opened a vault that was found in the former headquarters of Chicago gangster Al Capone. However, he and the estimated 30 million TV viewers discovered that it was empty. And Geraldo has not lived it down since. Even though it ain't his fault, right? It's like the TV producers do this shit to you. They're like, let's have a special. No, let's not. You'll be rich. Okay, let's have a special. 1990, Russian-born artist and fashion designer Erte died at the age of 97. 2016, American musician Prince, who created a groundbreaking music that fused funk, rhythm, blues, rock and roll, and pop, and was one of the biggest stars in the 1980s and 90s, died at the age of 57 in an accidental overdose of fentanyl, a powerful opioid. That happened today, 7 years ago. And other birthdays today, American football player Tony Romo, Anwar al-Awlaki, American radical cleric, was born in 1971. Tony Romo was born this day in 1980, so he is 43. Elizabeth II was born in this day in 1926. She would be 97. Anthony Quinn, Mexican-American actor, was born this day in 1915. And in this day in 2002, French President Jacques Chirac faced an re-election challenge on this day, 2002, from extremist Jean-Marie Le Pen in the first round of presidential voting, but 2 weeks later, handily defeated him to win a second term for old Jacques Chirac.
Nice.
This day, April 21st, 2002. So that's the news.
2003.
No, I'm 2000. What?
The 2002.
No, it was 2002.
2023.
No, I was telling you the day that the election happened.
Oh, the election was last year. Okay.
Aha. No, 21 years ago was Jacques
2002.
Chirac. I just like saying. Go ahead.
All right. Well, that's been Allison here from the Netherlands. I'm going to go listen to the new August D album because it just came out and I've been waiting all month for it. Hope you have a good one. Listen to something you love and dance around in the house like no one's watching. And we'll see you next week.
Don't pull any muscles while it's dancing. This is Roger from the United States saying it's Friday. Go out there and conquer the world. Only figuratively. Don't try to conquer anything. And don't shoot anybody. Please. All right. And this is April 21st, 2023 edition of Before Coffee. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all them fun things and the little buttons. Hit all of them. Hit all the buttons. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons. And follow our other channels. Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.